2020 has been a challenging year for the liberal values that shape our democracy. With public health at the forefront of government's priorities, significant aspects of our freedoms took a big hit. Economy, free movement, rule of law were only some of the aspects of our lives that were shaken to their foundation. And while we had to confine our bodies to protect ourselves and the people we love, we, as active citizens, as supporters of liberal values, have the obligation to keep our minds constantly awake. Through the Thoughbites series, we ask prominent personalities from ALDE and the Renew Group to give us liberal answers to the most challenging questions of the past months. Of course, the COVID pandemic is on everyone's minds. How could the EU help economies recover and make the recovery plan future-proof for more digital and innovative growth? Luis Garicano, who led the effort for the recovery package, explains that this crisis can be turned into an opportunity.
We have to ensure that European money is going to be used for European priorities, that our youth has the right employment, labor, educational reforms that ensure that they can find a happy life in the 21st century. We don't want to burden them with debt.
But before we reach the end of COVID, we are still balancing confinement measures that take a toll on our everyday freedoms.
I think we have to make sure that with quarantine tests, we make sure that people who stick together, loved ones, can see each other. I think we should not sacrifice Schengen again and make sure that we fight the pandemic, but we protect our civil liberties.
Despite the major role it is still playing in our lives, COVID is not the only thing happening in our political agenda. Hilde Woutmans, the Liberal coordinator in the Foreign Affairs Committee in the European Parliament, and our ELF president, joined her voice with the one of the protesters in Belarus, sending a clear message that the European Union will stand by them until a solution is found for a peaceful transition of power.
Our message remains clear. We will not give up on our Belarus friends. We will stand by the Belarus people as long as it takes. We will defend their rights and freedom as long as it takes. Any initiative that could foster a peaceful transition of power or an inclusive national dialogue will get our firm support, because that's what we Europeans do. Promote fundamental values, freedoms and respect for human rights, not just in our own borders, but also beyond.
Another moment that shook the planet was the EU's elections. Nico Stefanuta, Vice President of the Committee on EU-US Relations, commented on the victory of President-elect Joe Biden and VP-elect Kamala Harris. In his assessment, he pointed how democracy hangs by a thread, and that we should all be ready at any moment to defend it everywhere, in the US but also here in Europe.
We saw that Americans support democracy, support human rights. They're behind a candidate who's ready to defend all of those. And one last point, you saw that often democracy hangs by a thread, so we should be ready to defend it here in Europe.
And he could not be more right. Democracy has come under fire right here in Europe, with two member states, Hungary and Poland, blocking the long overdue step to connecting European funds to upholding the rule of law. Liberals across the board fight to support the Europe of values. As Ramona Strugario puts it in her Thoughtbite commentary,
rule of law is a prerequisite for our day-by-day free living today in Europe. Of all battles, it is the essential one to win for today and, most importantly, for a whole century to come.
As the political foundation of the European Liberal Party, the ALDE Party, we stand for a future-oriented Europe that offers opportunities for every citizen.
We should fight for our values, for civil liberties, for human rights inside the European Union and outside. Again, there is a lot to be done.
We cannot be talking about human rights if we do not talk about one of the biggest challenges of the past and coming years, migration. In the words of Jan Christian Oetjen from the Renew Group, we as liberals want a solution for people who are in need of help. We need a clear European asylum policy that is built on human dignity and human values. Clear procedures for those who need help and shelter. Clear procedures for those who need to return. Legal and safe avenues to come to Europe instead of dangerous journeys on boats.
We need legal avenues for people who are in need for help via humanitarian avenues. And we need avenues as well for people who want to work in Europe, because we need their labor force. And when they get back to their country of origin, they can help us to develop these countries. They can do business in their home country. They can bring prosperity to their home country. We call this circular migration, and these can help, on the one hand, European countries, and on the other hand, countries of origin.
All this is reflected in our role as the European Liberal Forum. Together with our 47 member organizations, we work all over Europe to empower citizens to making their voices heard. We fight for a liberal future in a united Europe. We all from the European Liberal Forum wish you, your loved ones, and all of us a good, happy and healthy new year.